When you are planning your labor budget, definitely use the capacity and labor analysis model that we will discuss in this video. Hello, I'm Tom. Welcome to my channel where we talk about continuous improvement in an industrial setting. And today we have a video that is super useful if you are in the budgeting process or strategically planning next year's labor spend and your machine capacity. That is because we will be discussing how machine capacity and capacity improvement, how that links to labor cost, labor usage. This is, I will say, only for direct labor, right? So we're not looking at indirect labor like management, support departments. We are looking at the operators on the lines. And I will make another sort of caveat. This is mainly useful for those industries where the machine, the line, determines sort of how fast you can go, determines output levels. If you are working a job shop where the mechanic or the operator is basically your limiting factor and they move the product from here to there, then do a couple of operations, you have a whole bunch of tools lying around and they just use it when they need it, that's a different model. We can definitely discuss that as well. Let me know in the comments if you want to. But this is for process industry, for machine and big line-driven industries where we usually talk about operators of lines. Now, what we want to discuss is linked to an earlier video of mine on the overall labor effectiveness, so that the sister to OEE, overall equipment effectiveness. Definitely check that video out if you haven't done so already. And the idea is that your machines, they are needed a certain couple of hours, then they have an effectiveness, and that's why you have a total time that you need to plan in that machine to get your production done. Now, there is an efficiency part there, right? Your machine effectiveness. But on the second axis, you also have how many people work there. And do we spend more labor than we should? Now, we will not go into all of those details, but we will go into the calculations of the basic, which is really important. And this is something, as I said, right, at least once a year. But I would even say this type of analysis should probably even be in your monthly variation analysis for operations, definitely like in your quarterly. Let me show you what I mean so that you can also link it to your own business and probably even do it. In fact, on doing it, I'm planning to do a sort of a implementation challenge, like taking a group of maybe yourself as well, to really do this in practice for your own factory. Get a couple of people together, get the energy up, and do this, basically this thing completely for your factory within 2 weeks or so. You'll get your daily reminders and support from me. We'll have a couple of live calls. I think it will be great. I don't know what you think about it. So if that is something that you would be interested in, it will not be free, but if that is something you would be interested in, then please check that link down in the description. Let me know, get on the waiting list, and I know whether or not we can launch that group already pretty soon, right? So, because I think it's a great idea to take these learnings that I put up as videos and turn it into actual implementation in your business. But I don't know, maybe you don't like it. So let me know. Let me know in the comments, but also do, if you want to participate in that, check out that link. And what we will be going over, and then in way more detail and an implementation, is that concept of, we're going to look at what's the planned volume. And here I use sort of the idea of weekly, but that won't matter that much for today. We have a volume, we've got a couple of lines in our factory. So we have line A, B, and C in this factory. And of course, in your factory, you'll probably have more lines, but the same concept applies. And we have a budgeted volume, 1,200 pieces. And line A has a speed of 15 pieces per hour. So when we divide that, we say, well, okay, so to make 1,200 pieces, when we know that we can make 15 a minute, 15 an hour, we will need 80 hours. But, and here's the trick, this machine does not run at 100% efficiency. So these are the effective hours. But if this machine runs at 50% efficiency, then we need to divide by that 50, and we know that we need to plan in this line for 160 hours, right? This is the nominal speed. We know that in ideal conditions, this line should be giving us 15 products each hour. But we also know that some of them will be defective. We may not always get our maximum speed, changes of materials, slight thingies, or somebody's put the line a bit slower. Then from time to time you have a breakdown, you have cleanings, you have plant maintenance. You have all kinds of factors in the OEE, and we talked about that at length, that make it that our OEE in this example is only 50%. So that means that for every hour we put in another hour of that other stuff. 160 hours in total. And this will be different for your different lines. So that second line, 500 units to be made, we can make 5 an hour in ideal conditions, so that's 100 hours of effective time, but they have a bit higher OEE, and we get to 167 hours needed. And that last line, lowest volume, it's sort of average speed at 8, so we need to use it for 50 hours, but this one, well, that OEE is a bit lower, so we need a total of 125 hours on that machine. And I sort of said this would be per week, but we'll get to that in the next video on this topic, because this is also the basis for your capacity planning and your asset utilization planning. But right now, we just take this as granted. This is what we are planning to do, how fast we know the machine is, our OEE as we know it, and then how many machine hours do we need. But now, how many people do I need? And see, here with direct labor, there is another key component that you want to know in your production. And I can already tell you that maybe your company knows this, but not all production managers and operations organizations are really clear on how many people does it take to run this line. And of course, how many people are next to the line today is usually known. But what I encounter quite often is, well, yeah, if we do that product, then it's 12, and that product is 16, and then you've got the simple product, you have 8 people, but we can also run it with 10, and it's a little bit, make a couple of assumptions, and if there really are product groups, then you split it out a bit. You can even, for the purposes of this, call it like a different line, right? So you have a product group intensive with extra packaging around it or something like that, and a product lines simple, where you just have sort of your skeleton crew. That is absolutely okay. But what you then get is, what is your crew size? And so if we have a crew of 5 people to run this line, and we know that in total we need 160 machine hours on this line, this includes all of your cleanings and your setups and stuff like that, but during cleaning and setup, for most process industries, your operators will be tied to the line anyway. So what you then get is, in this one, 800 total man hours. So now we know that line A, and if this is weekly, we'll need 800 man hours per week. We of course also do this for the other lines. So we get 500 man hours for line B, 375 man hours for line C, and a total of 1675 man hours for our whole department. That is your labor spend for this department for a week. And that is super handy to have when you're planning your budget. But also, if you know this, and you know how many labor hours have clocked in and out and how many you have paid last week, I was like, if that was 2,000, what did we do, right? What did we do with the other 300 hours? And that will help you set up the labor effectiveness calculations. But that's a topic for another video. This is the basis of your capacity and labor analysis. This is something I would really like to set up. And those other parts will definitely be part of that challenge as well. But this and whatever comes from that, to set it up together with you in a group of enthusiasts, real practical implementation. Follow the link below to let me know if you're interested in such a program. For now, I hope you at least like this explanation. Give me a like if you did, and I wish you the best of luck setting up your capacity analysis. And as always, don't forget to also enjoy the continuous improvement journey.